All right, X and EJ back for a video.
Yes.
It's been about 3 years now.
3 has it really? I didn't think I'd been out of town
Probably
that long.
3 since anybody's watched anything.
Okay, well
But-
that may. No, I think it's been at least only one probably.
Since
Maybe one since
one.
people watch
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, that's true.
Although your I gotta say your fantasy football updates have been nothing short of breathtaking.
That's what I intended. I'm
Yeah.
glad I'm getting some good feedback on
Yeah.
that.
Especially
Yahoo
for me.
loves them.
Especially from me being in the league.
Oh,
You
that's
know.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You are in the league.
So
So yeah, on that subject.
yeah.
Did you want to talk football or fantasy football?
Well, we can talk a little of both if you want, but I think we'll start with real football. Especially,
Yeah, let's do a video on real
especially
football.
considering
Something
your,
that appeals to more than 7 people.
The Packers are still undefeated.
That's right, they have not
after
lost.
yesterday. So they're 11-0, 5 games away from tying the 07 Patriots.
Right.
With a 16-0 regular season.
Right. They're actually very close to setting a record for most consecutive regular season wins.
Oh yeah, well, you know what the
They're
record is?
closer. I think the record is 19.
19. They're
think it's
very
19.
close. They have 17 right now.
Yeah. I think it's. You should probably check
I
that.
should look at it.
You should check that out. We should probably know these things before we start speaking
Hey,
publicly.
you know what? I
about our
listen to a lot of
football knowledge.
podcasts, like especially about football and stuff, where they don't know their shit. They have to look it up on broadcast. So I'm okay with that, especially considering precisely how many people actually are watching right now.
The millions
And millions.
of X and EJ's fans
That's
probably
right.
already know the answer to that.
All right.
But I'm glad you turned the mic on too. I didn't even think about that. That's good.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
When did
I didn't turn that on.
I'm pretty sure I didn't either.
All right. Well, you guys can hear us anyway, so who cares? So yeah, let's just go division by division.
It's been a while
Everything's
since we did it. Okay, let's
everything's
start
pretty fair
with,
right now.
with the
Let's
North.
just run
the
through
North
there.
obviously is better. Let's start with the
The
North.
North is better.
The North and
The
both
North did beat the
divisions are
South once.
well.
And I lost mine. All right.
The two best divisions in the league right now, going on combined records, are the AFC North and the NFC North. The
Yeah.
NFC North
Yeah, that's
being
true.
most impressive, thanks to Green Bay. The NFC North actually has 15 total losses after last week.
Yeah, we are doing this
loss.
following the Thanksgiving Day game,
Um,
so a couple of teams have played their Week 12 matchup
But
already.
8 of those 15 belong to the Vikings.
Life
I
is
just need
good.
to point that out.
Life is good. Breaking down that division, though, you've got the Packers undefeated right now. By beating Detroit, they've given themselves enough distance now that for them to lose the division, they would have to have some sort of epic collapse, really.
They're at least
Based on how
3
they're
games up,
playing
yeah.
and who they have left to play, it just doesn't seem likely. So
I don't see them losing.
I think X and EJ News are projecting Green Bay to defeat the rest of the teams and win that division. So-
Yeah, no, we projected them as Super Bowl winners this year.
Yeah, we're
Looks
looking pretty smart right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, probably jinxed them overall, but we're looking pretty good right now.
But yeah, no, the Bears are 7-3, Lions are 7-4, so we'll
That's
see how.
two really interesting stories.
Yeah.
Detroit, they've gotten to 7-4. Very impressive start for a franchise that's never been this good. But,
Yeah, but ever since our first 5 games, ever since that loss to San Francisco, things have been a little shaky there.
and even in their wins, they didn't. I think they dominated like one team.
They
so
dominated
far.
like Kansas City.
Yeah,
I think
there
I
was
think there was
almost
another one,
every
too.
other game they were either behind at some point.
But yeah, they had to
or
come back from
had to
Dallas. They had
rally.
to really dramatic come back from Dallas.
And for a team that's got a great defense, they don't really put a lot of people out of the end zone. They let Carolina torch them last week.
That's true. They
So, Detroit's really interesting. I don't know if they're going to be able to hang on. This is a team that's very unproven.
Well, now their secondary's banged up.
Yeah,
You
and they're
know,
using wide receivers.
Stafford is still out playing, which is good. That's what we always said. As long as they have Stafford, they'll be contenders. So.
And then you flip to the Bears, who have made a great run to rally in this division. And
much better season so far than I thought they would.
And now they're without Cutler.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm honestly not sure how much that's going to matter. I mean, we'll see how Haney does, and they have. Honestly, the only thing that's going to do is it's going to force Mike Martz to run the ball. And that
the
works
best thing
for
for March usually is to be forced to use the running
somebody
game.
needs
So-
to, and thank you, Cutler, for making Mike Martz. By the way, he's not done for the season yet.
That's true. That's true.
He might come back.
That actually might play into people who own Marion Barber
In fantasy,
on their fantasy team.
like you.
If they're gonna have to run more, Forte already carries more than his fair share of the load. So
I think the real story here is just how desperate you are for a second running back in that league. That's,
wow, that's not even Daniel Thomas. I hate you. You're terrible.
You like him?
No. Thanks for trading him to me, though. Really appreciated that. It's like getting a bruised, freaking fruit.
Hey, you know what? You gave me Chad Ochocinco, so I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, that worked out. Yeah. What team does he play for?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what
plays
team
for a
he's on.
Anyway,
he's probably out looking for T.O.
Meanwhile, the Vikings suck, and they just lost Peterson for some period of time. So
I will say this: I'm going to say something nice about the Vikings.
Why would you do that?
Christian Ponder has not been embarrassing
for a rookie. No,
so I'll give you that. But the rest of your team is. So good luck with Toby Gerhart as your starter this week.
Over in the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens beat the San Francisco 49ers, ending their 8-game winning streak yesterday.
Yep, that was a. It's weird to say this, but that was a big win for Baltimore.
Of course it was,
over
because
San Francisco.
Baltimore wins the big games.
They lose the
ones they're supposed to win. But the games, that's why I picked them this week.
Well, it's
San Francisco's
frustrating.
a good team. They're good, so naturally they're going to step up and beat them.
It's frustrating for the AFC as a whole to look at Baltimore and consider them a top contender. They technically are, but they don't impress enough to where you would say they're an elite team. Their offense underperforms pretty routinely, and their defense is now banged up too.
Well, at the moment,
Ray Lewis didn't play last night.
At the moment, they're sitting with the best record in the AFC.
Yeah, I know.
They're the only team in the AFC that has 8 wins.
You lost to friggin' Seattle. Like, how are you there?
It's strange how, like, you got in the NFC, you've got the 11-0 team, and you've got now your 9-2 team in the 49ers.
And they're running away.
AFC has Baltimore Ravens, which got their 8th win, and then the Patriots and the Steelers with 7 wins, and that's it. As far as
and those teams might have 8 by the time. And then the Texans.
Yes, the Texans
might have their 8th win when all said and done. Team flying totally under the radar. We'll get to that. But, and then Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh sucks.
I know you hate Pittsburgh, but I'm actually kind of impressed with where they're at right now. They've kind of changed their identity. Those of you who own Rashard Mendenhall will know that he is not the beast he was advertised to be.
You know what? He scores touchdowns. That's all that matters to me.
But what's going on, it's very quiet, really, is Pittsburgh's turned into a pass-first offense, and Hines Ward is not a part of that.
No, it's Antonio Brown and Mike Wallace.
They've really emerged as strong wide receiver
What's hilarious to me is, I don't know, I forget, I'm trying to remember which game it was. One of the recent games for the Steelers, he was throwing so much to Antonio Brown that on one touchdown play, he throws a pass to Antonio Brown, and Mike Wallace comes and gets it.
He's like, I got this one. I'm good. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, Pittsburgh's really become they've kind of changed their identity, I think, to match up well with some other teams.
They needed to be more offensive because their defense is, frankly, not the defense it was last year.
And to this point, Ben Roethlisberger, he's doing a little bit better. It's doing a little bit better at distributing the ball, across the field. He's not holding the ball as long as he usually does. Usually that's a 20-minute ordeal watching him stand in the pocket. But
he still does that.
Can you imagine if Tom Brady had the O-line that Pittsburgh has?
That would be insane. I mean,
right now, Pittsburgh's O-line's playing great.
Well, at this point, I want Tom Brady to have the O-line that Houston has.
But, on along the surprises, Cincinnati. They're in this fight.
6-4.
This team was picked to finish dead last in the league.
I mean, they had a soft start of the schedule.
Agreed. But
as soon as they got into divisional opponents, they started losing.
No one had them finishing 6-10.
No,
they could lose out, and
you thought they were going to go 0-16.
I thought they were a perfect candidate for that, but the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton,
the Red Rifle,
amazing.
Did you make that up?
No, I've actually heard that a couple places. He's been playing amazing. I think he's a top candidate. In my opinion, he would get my vote for Rookie of the Year right now.
Assuming that he and AJ Green stay on the same team for their careers, it's going to be one hell of a combination.
Yeah, that could be a very Steve Young, Joe Montana to Jerry Rice deal.
The catch on which he got hurt.
He still caught it. He caught it for a touchdown. Yeah. So and then you've got the Cleveland Browns. They've been playing without Peyton Hillis, who I'm
frankly disappointed with them.
The Browns.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be a lot better this year.
Hillis is out with a sore throat or something. I'm not really sure if that's a legit injury. Hillis is just like permanently injured this season.
I don't know what happened.
He took the Madden curse way too seriously.
Apparently.
He's like, yeah, I'm on Madden. I don't have to play this year. I can have a year off. I can take a break.
That's what he thought being on the cover of Madden meant.
I just can barely talk. I don't think I can run.
The guy's sick, but whatever. I mean,
he's frankly a huge disappointment.
Frankly, if I were the other team, I'd be and my own offensive line, I'd be happy that it wasn't breathing all over me. Frankly, but
don't get me sick, buddy. Don't get me sick. One bright spot for them though, Greg Little. He's been doing pretty well. He hasn't found the end zone.
I would say
McCoy and Little are good. They get a running game back. They might actually. And Josh Cribbs has been playing better. He's very similar to Devin Hester in that he's fantastic on the return team, but they're still trying to integrate him into the offense. And
the offense was ugly except for that one play by Josh Cribbs.
Yeah, that's it, basically. So yeah, Cleveland's been a big disappointment to this point.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's since we've been talking about the Texans, moving to the AFC South, the worst team in the league,
the worst division
in the league. Yeah, as far as record is concerned, with a whopping 25 losses. 10 of which belong to the Indianapolis Colts.
Be proud, winless Colts.
Who have not won a game yet. I
was going to offer a bright spot on the Colts because, trying to be positive about these loser teams. Still looking. I've not found one.
Dan Orlovsky might come in as quarterback.
Oh, that's not a bright spot. Curtis Painter was chosen over him for a reason, and Curtis Painter's been awful. So
remind me to thank Daryl for keeping Curtis Painter in his
thank you to Big Ben's Revenge, the team in our league that has been the proud owner of a Peyton Manning and a Curtis Painter this season.
Not to mention a Bilal Powell.
Yeah.
Who's been starting every week. Finally got his first points last week.
Thanks for finishing dead last in our fantasy league. Maybe you'll be back next year, maybe.
If like I said in my end of the bye weeks video that I just put up, everybody was saying for a long time the Colts are not just Peyton Manning. Well, apparently they are.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks to me like the Colts were just Peyton Manning. Because
apparently he was head coach, quarterback, lead offensive scorer, and I think he ran the defense when he wasn't on the field.
I just don't know how you explain a team that goes to the playoffs for 9 consecutive years, wins a Super Bowl in that time, and then they lose their quarterback and they're 0-10.
I mean, take any other team in the league. Tom Brady actually went out week 1 a few years ago, and that team still finished 10-6.
Yeah, that's right. I remember
Green Bay Packers could lose Aaron Rodgers tomorrow.
Matt Flynn would be
going to win you at least 4 games.
Yeah.
Good God.
It's pretty insane. I mean, even Kansas City managed to win a few games without Jamal Charles.
So leading that division.
The point is, it's the Texans' year.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's out of their way. There's no challengers to their throne.
The Colts hurdle broke and it just broke down, and so there's no point to it.
The Colts blew an engine lap 1. They're in the garage.
Yeah.
You got the Jacksonville Jaguars who can't live up to expectations, no matter how low they get. Blaine Gabbert
that's harsh.
I'm sorry.
It's harsh for your team.
Maurice Jones-Drew is a top 10 player in the league, and he literally has no impact on whether or not they win or lose games. Their defense actually stepped up the last couple of weeks.
Their defense has been good.
Played great against Baltimore in that cursed victory of theirs.
Oh, God. Don't even remind me of that.
It doesn't matter now because they're banged up.
Yeah.
So Jacksonville just won't answer the bell.
I mean, Blaine Gabbert needs to learn where he needs to go.
The only real challenger in this division is Tennessee, and I think
they're 5-5.
I think they're a pretender. Chris Johnson's been terrible this season. He's had very little impact on the offense.
Now they lost Kenny Britt.
Matt Hasselbeck's going to hold down the fort, but he's not going to go out and win you 5 games.
So and frankly, Tennessee is not. I don't think Tennessee is going to be able to hold a lead on the Texans, which means. The thing about the Texans, as soon as they get points on you, they'll just stuff Arian Foster and Ben Tate down your throat until you can't take it anymore.
And apparently Derek Ward, too.
Derek Ward. Just why not?
Hey, what are you doing? You can run. That's cool. Touchdown you. Good job.
Touchdown you.
That's what they're going to be, touchdown you, the running back core there.
Yeah, pretty much.
But the other thing hurting Tennessee is they're probably going to be a wild card contender, if at all. And there's just too many other teams I think in the field that they will not match up well against.
Frankly, looking at the other teams that are going to be contending for wild spots, I'm looking at either the Ravens or the Steelers, whoever wins the division, the
Cincinnati.
You know,
the Jets, the Bills,
Broncos. Shit,
the Broncos are in this right now because they,
I don't think that
said their prayers, ate their vitamins, so they're doing pretty well.
Yeah,
good segue. Let's go to the AFC West.
Want to go to the AFC West?
The wasteland of football, known as the AFC West, where the Oakland Raiders have emerged with Carson Palmer as their quarterback, and who knew that was coming? And then you've got the Denver Broncos nipping at their heels with
I will say
Tim never throws it past Tebow as their quarterback.
Tim, the big man upstairs must really be on his side.
I was explaining this to a couple of people. I'm not somebody to rationalize real world things with God or religion in any way, but I think it's the only rational explanation for how he's been successful. Is it is some way connected to his relationship with God? Because he has no discernible talent or skill. Even his will should be broken by the other teams, but he continues to win. I don't know how that's even explainable.
I will say this briefly for the AFC West.
Yeah.
They're the only division in football right now, besides the AFC North, who does not have a team with less than 4 wins. Go figure.
Just because all 4 of your teams are going to finish 8-8 doesn't make you any good. Oakland, I think Oakland's in the driver's seat with
Oakland
this one.
I think Oakland's going to stay in the driver's seat.
I think Denver does fall by the wayside. The moment one team stifles Tebow and shuts him down, I think the rest of the league listens in and does the same.
Frankly, if nobody does it soon, it's going to be Chicago. And I think everybody knows it's going to be Chicago. You can't run a Tim Tebow offense on the Bears. It's not going to work. We'll kill him.
No. Did they even play?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, although the entire NFC North plays the entire AFC West, so we... Fuck yeah.
Oh, okay, that works. Yeah, totally. And then you got the San Diego Chargers, who have been Norved for how many years has he been working there?
Know, too many.
They're terrible.
One too many.
Come on. You've got talent at every offensive position, but you can't get the job done.
It's really sad how bad they've been, and it's just because they made mistakes.
They have great defensive players like Eric Weddle and
Quentin Michael, yeah.
Who
plays for the Rams, isn't
he?
I forget. Anyway. I know Quentin Jammer. So
yeah, that's what you meant. There's no just like you can't explain Tebow finding success. You can explain why the Chargers suck. It's Norv Turner. Fire your coach. Find a new coach. Bring in a new philosophy.
I think it's that. It's the fact that Ryan Matthews can't stay healthy. It's the fact that
neither can Mike Tolbert.
Yeah, none of them can. It's the fact that and the Vincent Jackson only looks like he's trying half the time.
Yeah, I mean, he's Randy Moss light.
Yeah, he really is.
Randy Moss didn't have to try. He still scored 20 touchdowns. Vincent Jackson,
I
don't know what his deal is.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then you got the Kansas City Chiefs, who have already way overachieved.
Yeah, by winning 4 in a row.
By winning 4 games?
They won 4 games total. They won 4 in a row.
Yeah, that's they've way overachieved. They should probably give up now.
Until they got squashed.
They don't want to get anybody else hurt, as I predicted. Everyone's gotten hurt, so I like that. I
remember we said, if this team loses any of its core components, they're done.
And they lost.
They lost Jamal Charles. They lost Matt Castle. Dwayne Bowe's next. Trust me. Moving on.
Coming for you, Bo. Coming for you.
But I am. We took the Chargers to win the division at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, whoops.
I'm firmly in Raiders camp at this point. Michael Bush looks like a star. Carson Palmer is not playing poorly. I think
it's the Raiders, although I did say the other day with the Chargers having a losing record, I actually feel more confident in them winning the division now. So I won't put the Chargers down.
It's too late for them to do the
between
turnaround.
I don't consider Broncos a threat. It's between the Raiders and Chargers.
Yeah. Moving on to the NFC East, we're got the New England Patriots in firm control at 7-3, although they have been struggling of late.
But it was a little scary for them there, and they still play the worst defense in the league, but it just hasn't had
a bunch of nobodies.
They've actually played better defense with Edelman at defensive back.
And how strange is that? That's very odd.
They've had some issues though with the offense the last couple of weeks. Brady to Welker has not been dynamic. They've kind of let Welker fall out of the
Brady's
offensive
been
picture.
under a lot of pressure.
But all he's done then is find Gronkowski and Hernandez. That's his answer. More Gronkowski than Hernandez.
It works for me as long as that's reversed a little bit. I need more Hernandez, less Gronkowski. I swear to God, I was watching the pass. I told you, I was watching the pass that Hernandez dropped.
Yeah.
If he catches that pass, I win my fantasy game.
It's all on one pass. Yeah, no, been there, lost that.
Yeah.
Then you got the Jets who have surged to 5-5. I feel they've underachieved as far as I'm concerned.
no,
they should not be 5-5. They're just not as good as they were.
They've lost Sean Green, Mark Sanchez. Santonio Holmes has disappeared.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, on the Sanchez subject, I actually got into a huge debate with this, with Troy and Ben, about whether or not Sanchez is a good quarterback. And Ben had the argument that he wins games, that he just wins when it matters. And to his credit, he made playoff runs in his first year and his second year.
Yeah.
But I don't see the wins when they need him. I don't see him doing it. I don't see him being the reason they're winning.
I think
the defense is the reason they win games. And then guys like LaDainian Tomlinson, who still continues to occasionally step up.
And occasionally get hurt.
Occasionally get hurt. Occasionally not. And that's what the Jets have done this year, is they are a much less scary version of themselves from 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's kind of seemed like Jets light. Like even Rex Ryan seems less outrageous this year.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got Buffalo.
Buffalo, which had a tremendous start, and has since utterly flopped. To
me, it's like the guy in a marathon who runs full sprint when they fire the gun, and he's gonna have nothing by mile 20. He's just gonna be.
What is up with this year? But you give a guy a contract, and then suddenly he starts to suck. I don't understand. Fitzpatrick all of a sudden has not been.
He started out looking pretty smart.
He did. And now they've lost Fred Jackson, and that's just brutal.
Yeah, and they're going to have to rely on C.J. Spiller.
Brutal.
That's pretty dangerous. They signed Tashard Choice. I don't really think that's going to impact anybody.
He has been just moved around this year.
I know. He's apparently collecting jerseys.
Yeah.
So. And then bottom of that division, the Miami Dolphins, who are actually looking better than the Bills right now.
Yeah, they are.
Actually, had it not been for a last-second field goal, they would have 4 straight wins.
That would have been awesome. And Matt Moore is not the worst quarterback you could have, despite what people in Carolina would tell you.
Yeah.
But
he won't be the quarterback next season. They will do something different at quarterback next season, and they'll probably do something different at coach too. So
they'll bring Chad Henne back.
That would be a great move.
Over in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys beating Miami, as you just mentioned. They moved to the top of that pack with 7-4. New York Giants are 6-4.
Yep.
How do you see this shaping up? The Eagles are 4-6. The Dream Team is 4-6.
I think the Eagles are out. I don't think they make the playoffs. There's too many teams ahead of them in the wild card, and they're too far behind in their own division. They could conceivably be 2 games back if they win this week, but I don't think they're going to make up that ground.
Listen to this real fast. Just Cleveland Browns, San Diego Chargers, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Seattle Seahawks. These are 4-6 teams. So these are teams that if they win out from here, will have 10 wins.
But if they don't,
if they lose one more game, they're basically out of contention.
Well, it looks like a 9-7 team will probably make the playoffs in the NFC.
9-6 team, or not 9-7 team.
But I don't think it's going to be Philly.
No, it's
not. I don't think it's going to be most of the teams.
I don't think a 9-7 team is going to make it. Because you can't rely on the NFC West division leader, and because I don't think the Niners are going to drop 5 straight.
No, the Niners are going to get to probably 11 or 12 victories.
Yeah. So then you're going to have, let's move on. You have Dallas and the Giants basically fighting it out right now.
Yeah, I think both of these teams are going to make the playoffs.
Which to me, the Giants are a better team.
I think the Giants are a better team, but I still don't buy into the Giants. I just don't.
Yeah, I know.
But I do like how Eli Manning has been playing this season. Eli Manning's been doing.
Eli Manning has been playing better, certainly.
And I will give Dallas this: with some of their stars on the sidelines or traded to the Bears, they've actually been playing a little bit more cohesive offense. But their defense still leaves. Their defense still leaves them in tight games.
Dallas has played better ever since their stars, who they thought were good, have been hurt, and it turned out that they had better guys.
Yeah, the backup guys are better guys.
DeMarco Murray and Lauren Robinson. So I don't know.
If I had to pick between those two, I'd probably take the Giants.
I would take the Giants just because we're about a week away from Tony Romo's favorite month ever. And
he does great in December.
Yeah, no, he does fantastic. I think they're going to miss the playoffs. Personally, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
That would It could happen. They have 7 wins already, though.
Philly, you know, who knows with them.
Philly, their quarterback situation's a mess. They signed Vic to a huge contract, and he proceeds to completely let them down this season. He has not been the Vic of last year. And I don't blame Andy Reid for this. I don't even necessarily blame the defense for this.
Frankly, I think Deshaun Jackson is a big part of the problem, personally.
I think Deshaun Jackson that just hasn't
acting like
a game.
You know, and I don't know if you watched last week, but he finally had like a big catch, like not a touchdown, but a long catch, and gave it away, but with taunting penalty.
Yeah.
That's the kind of player he is, and that's why, frankly, unless he gets some maturity, he's never going to be a big factor, and teams will not fight to keep him. I don't care how fast he is.
He'll wind up on a bad team. He'll wind up like T.O. when he went to Buffalo. He'll wind up on a team that's not in contention, and he'll just be.
I don't think he's going to be on the Eagles.
Highlight reel.
I don't think he's going to be on the Eagles next year.
Philly has a lot of depth at wide receiver, and I think if you take some people out of the equation, you might actually make Vic a little bit better.
Yeah. And you know, Vince Young, I don't see them winning out.
He's not a fix for this. I actually think.
But yeah, you remember the Titans? You remember the Titans a couple of years ago when Kerry Collins got hurt?
Yeah, when the Titans were like 2-8 and won their last like 6 games. Yeah. So you know,
and then the Redskins, which are just a comedy of errors. The Redskins, I gave this stat on my last video. They go 3-1. They go into their bye, refresh themselves, and then lose 6 in a row. They haven't won since before their bye week.
I think your evil Shanahan theory is actually starting to come to fruition.
It's not mine. It's everybody's.
He actually wants this team to be awful. Like I think he got into this to run it to the ground.
No, you're mistaken there. He got into it to run fantasy teams into the ground. His goal is he hates fantasy players. Yeah. That's why, you know, Ryan Terrain starts games and, you know...
And then he has most carries of the week goes to what's his name, and then he gets cut.
Roy Halou. Yeah, I don't even know.
Choice?
It was Choice, yeah.
It was most carries for the game goes to Choice, and he's cut.
Yeah, Roy Halou catches 15 balls or something crazy
like that.
Yeah,
he set a receiving record.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even understand anymore. The Redskins are rolling with Rex Grossman, and as I've always said before, Chicago Bears fans know how that... you know, we know where that road leads.
No quarterback situation works out when you start with a quarterback, you tell him he sucks, bring in his backup, who sucks even more, and then bring back the first guy. That's never worked.
That's never good.
Washington's out.
I mean, that's what they did last year.
Yeah. They got the AFC or the NFC South.
NFC South, which currently being led by the Saints at 7-3. They're looking good.
Yeah,
Drew Brees is on pace to break that passing record. Hopefully, somebody does it this year.
Yeah, that's like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, exactly. This year.
You know, Cam Newton's got a shot.
I'm just hoping that somebody breaks Marino's record.
And then you got the Atlanta Falcons, who were off to a really bad start to their season. Just did not look good in their losses.
Frankly, they don't look very good in their wins.
They gave up that game against the Saints in overtime. I don't know what Mike Smith was thinking, but
it's going to be huge.
But yeah, I think it's going to be huge as far as the wild card chase goes. But they are playing much better football right now. They need Julio Jones to stay healthy, though. I think that's going to hurt them.
That's a problem for them.
Harry Douglas.
But Roddy White made a reemergence last week, so he got a bunch of balls last week. That's good.
And they kind of need to establish their run game a little bit more.
As I've said before, I still don't see a wild card spot coming out of this division.
Okay.
So I think the winner, you know, maybe it won't be Tampa Bay as I predicted initially.
No, it's not looking like Tampa. Not looking like Tampa.
Tampa is completely
really underachieved.
Tampa is completely undisciplined. Most penalized team in the league. They don't know what they're doing. Josh Freeman keeps throwing interceptions. So
I think they're actually, because of where they're at, they're putting Freeman in positions in games to where he has to play to his weaknesses and not to his strengths. So Tampa's really struggling to come back when they're behind, to put teams away when they're ahead.
Yeah. I mean, and they're still
the youngest team in the league, too. So.
We'll see. I don't see them, or I see the Saints making it. I don't see them or the Falcons doing anything. Falcons, I just don't think have. Matt Ryan hasn't been good enough. Michael Turner hasn't been good enough. And Roddy White hasn't been good enough. So I don't see them.
And then you have the Carolina Panthers. Really, the story with the Panthers. The story with the Panthers is Cam Newton. He started the season phenomenal. Everybody's just blown away about how he's probably
he's in
the discussion for potentially top 15 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
But they don't win because of him.
No.
That's been their problem, is he has not turned that into victories.
And they need a running game that's not Cam Newton. frankly.
They need a running game that's not Jonathan Stewart either. They need to get away from
or
D'Angelo Williams. Those guys, that's over with. Move past that. And I like what they're doing with their receiver core, though. Brandon LaFell looks good.
Is back.
Steve Smith's back. He is the real Steve Smith again.
The real Steve
Brandon
Smith.
LaFell, the Legadou Nane, I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they've got some pieces on defense, but yeah, they've got to start putting that together. There's probably a couple more years before Carolina emerges, but you got to be happy with Cam Newton as your quarterback right now.
Yeah, completely, definitely. I think they're very happy with that.
And then you've got the NFC West, the final division, the NFC West.
The NFC West, the only division in the NFL that's made up of one team. One team only.
I think last year the NFC West actually had to reapply for membership
In the
in the
NFL.
NFL. I think they actually lost their license.
What's funny about this is that this is the team that San Francisco was supposed to be last year.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
And it took Harbaugh, really.
It's amazing how one guy at coach can change the philosophy of a team.
Yeah.
And he's completely done that. Alex Smith has some of the best stats on third down, some of the best stats in the red zone. And why? Well, because you're coaching to the guy's strengths and you're not making him do things he can't do.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why they lost to Baltimore on Thanksgiving was because Alex Smith did have to go outside of his box to try to get them back in that game. But
yeah,
with games against the rest of the division still in the slate, San Francisco easily gets the 12 wins, in my opinion.
I mean, they're gonna get a bye week in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, I think they're gonna get a first round bye. They're gonna be the number 2 seed. I don't see how they don't with as many games as they've got left against Seattle, Arizona, and St. Louis.
Yeah, San Francisco 49ers have 9 wins
already. Yeah, and that's after losing.
Seattle, Arizona, and St. Louis have a combined 9 wins.
Yeah, I think they can clinch the division next week, even with a loss. I think mathematically they could.
They're 5 games up right now, so yeah, that would make sense.
Well, they've played 11 games. Yeah, 5 up with 5 to play. So depending on what Seattle does this week. Seattle, they're an enigma. They are, to me, the opposite of the Baltimore Ravens in that the Ravens succeed despite not really knowing what's going on. The Seahawks fail, and there's no real explanation as to what's really happening with that team.
Yeah, it's strange. They brought in like some of these. You bring in Zach Miller. He does nothing.
Useless.
You bring in Sidney Rice. He does very little.
Even Leon Washington. Bring him in and he does nothing. And then Tavares Jackson.
I think Pete Carroll is an example of almost the anti-Harbaugh. He doesn't know what he's doing. I don't think. He thought he only had to make a few minor changes because he made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, well, I think, and he still thought that his philosophy that got him there last season, despite having a losing record, was to bring in all of his guys and create a team. That really wasn't what got them to the playoffs. It was that everyone else equally sucked or sucked worse. And continuing that strategy didn't help him this season.
Yeah.
Then you've got
we don't have to talk about Arizona.
The Arizona Cardinals, terrible all across the board, way underachieving. Cobb's hurt. Cobb wasn't good before he got hurt. Skelton's actually been impressive until last week when everybody realized that team has no offense if they can't pass. And they've got no running game when Benny Wells gets hurt. They barely got a running game when he is there, as far as I'm concerned. And their defense can't stop anybody. So
seriously,
that team is completely out of the running.
And then one of the bigger disappointments of the season for us is concerned because we thought the Rams were taking this division.
I thought Sam Bradford was going to be a beast this season. That hasn't worked out. The St. Louis Rams are just dreadful. Steven Jackson always banged up. Sam Bradford's banged up. Wide receivers are banged up.
They're lucky to have won 2 games.
They're lucky to be there right now. They should be right next to the Colts. And as far as I'm concerned, the Rams are still very much in the running for a #1 draft pick.
Which would be hilarious.
Because they wouldn't take Andrew Luck, which would be
right.
freaking hilarious.
Right. But, I mean, I don't know. The Colts might not take him either, frankly, if they get him.
All right, so real quickly, just to wrap this up, who do you think are the division winners in the AFC?
Division winners in the AFC, I see it being, I'm going to say Patriots. I'm going to say Ravens. Even though I said Steelers beginning of the year, I think the Ravens have looked better. So Patriots, Ravens, Texans, and Raiders.
All right, I'm going to go with Patriots, Steelers, Texans, and Raiders. And then who do you think gets the wild card spots?
I'm going to say the Steelers get 1.
Mm-hmm.
The other one... That's tough. You know what? I'm going to go with the Bengals.
Really?
I think the Bengals.
All right, I like it. I'm going to go with the Ravens because I took the Steelers to win the division, and I'm going to go with the Jets. I think the Jets piece enough together to make the playoffs, and all those Mark Sanchez fans could think that that guy's still legit. Moving over to the NFC, who wins the divisions there? Two of them pretty easy: Packers, Niners.
Packers, Niners. I'm going to say Saints and Giants for the others, and then
I'll agree with that. Your wild card teams.
I have to, just based on how these teams look, based on what I think, it's a similar situation of the AFC. I'm going to say Detroit and Chicago.
Actually, I'm going to go a little different than you. I'm actually going to take Chicago, but I'm also going to take Dallas. I think Dallas.
Really? You're dropping Detroit out?
I'm going to drop Detroit out.
Okay.
I think they're going to lose Sue next week. I think he gets suspended.
He's not going to get suspended.
I think he's going to get suspended.
No, he's not.
And, well, he's already been fined $42,000 this season.
You're not going to suspend him.
Either way, I think they've kind of lost their focus a little bit. They're going to struggle late in the season. They got really banged up at defensive back. I don't think they can outscore teams, 42-40 every week. So I'm going to take Dallas getting it. I don't think Dallas goes anywhere.
No.
But that's my call. So that's that on our thoughts on the football season. Definitely check out the video and
looking forward to a little old-fashioned beatdown of the Raiders next on Sunday. I'm gonna beat down Daryl as well. So,
we'll have to post this to something he might actually see.
And then later, of course, there's Kevin Meyer awaits my my rage.
All right, I don't know if he can get through a 36-minute video.
Yeah, well, he can skip to the end where he can tell him that I'm gonna fucking beat his ass.
All right, I'm gonna let that go up to the internet.